The first few months after the pandemic broke, it felt like everything was on the table and that all of our precepts about what governments were for and what the purpose of what we do for one another was about had changed. My name is Armine Yalnizyan. I'm an economist and the Atkinson Foundation Fellow on the Future of Workers. It certainly feels like we're on the cusp of something, though I've been fooled before. We thought maybe at the end of the global financial crisis in 2008 and 9, we were at some kind of a turning point when Occupy movements went ballistic all over the world. However, we were fooled, and right now feels like potentially that kind of a moment. We had, first of all, a global pandemic which shut everything down and wrecked supply chains and then made shipping incredibly difficult to do, which in a place like Canada, all sorts of things connected with shipping goods are hugely important to us. Then we had a pandemic, which meant we shut down everything that wasn't essential. And when we reopened it and people had money to spend, there weren't places to spend it yet. So that drove up prices. And so all of those things that were deemed non-essential were understaffed, and it cost a lot of money to do it. Then we had this price spike, which caused central banks to raise rates. And when you raise rates, you've got all sorts of problems with things like housing. which raises the cost of mortgages, but also the cost of building things. And then finally, to build on the labor shortages, which had been cooking. The pandemic didn't press pause on demographics, and we found ourselves in a moment where you've got demographic pressures of more people exiting the labor market than entering the labor market because birth rates fell for the last 4 decades. But add to that the idea that when you've closed a door for the pandemic and you open it up and there's hundreds of people on one side of the door, they're not all going to get through at the same time. So we had pandemic-related labor shortages on top of demographically related labor shortages. So we had a perfect storm of reasons for the 3 basic things in life to spike in cost: housing, food, and anything to do with energy. And that happened everywhere in the world, but it happened on stilts in Canada. Sellers' inflation looks the same in Canada as it does everywhere else. That's why Isabella Weber's paper is so influential, because it's describing something that is happening worldwide with corporations that have power to set prices. But what is happening in Canada here is not just because we're super reliant on a handful of very big corporations, but because everywhere there was this shift in mindset that you could get away with something. And they were just as surprised as we were at how much they got away with. And now the question is, can we actually rein in those expectations? And can we monitor prices in a way that we are not hostage to the next supply shock, which is guaranteed to come? So it's hard to tell what kind of a turning point we're at, but certainly we're not going back to pre-pandemic days for a whole host of reasons, because of demographics, because of climate change, because of tighter and tighter supply chains, and more corporate concentration. So for all these reasons, we're not going back to your daddy's economy. We create the world we want. Capitalism doesn't fall off a turnip truck delivered to us in a particular way. We create capitalism. We create affordability or not affordability. The economy isn't powered by money, it's powered by people. And the way we lean into our agency to come up with the solutions to the problems we have plenty of examples through time where we have pulled together to do that, and we have sat back and thought, oh my God, the world's going to hell in a handbasket and we can do nothing about it. It's up to us to wake up and smell the coffin and understand exactly how much agency we have to rise up again.